Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. Tonight from the world, everyone knows Elon's deal went through with Twitter, and one of his first executive actions was to get rid of Parag Agrawal. He's the CEO, or he got rid of their CFO, and Vijay Gadde, the one that was behind the main person, I should say, behind the ban hammer on Twitter. Now, don't get me wrong, Twitter is a cesspool. Always has been. Probably won't always, but it's going to be kind of like open season for the old internet boys like myself. So, what does that mean? It means, quite frankly, that we have the public square again. And that with that, we have some things we need to take care of. One of which is to get engaged. Now's the time to be on Twitter. Get into the game. Sorry, I was turning off my phone because it dinged. Had a friend that was popping up an instant message. I bring up the picture from Timcast. That's how big of a deal this is. And that's why I am sharing this on a 2A channel. If you were pro 2A, or pro First Amendment, or any fan of the Constitution, you had a target on your back on Twitter. That is no longer the case, or at least it appears so right now. Now, we can't have an entirely, rough shot thing on the internet that is this widely adopted. So there will be rules, and there are rules. And I don't suspect a lot of it will change right away. What I do see happening is a lot of voices that have been censored, specifically someone, like Iraq vet, Mr. Guns and Gear. These are people I follow, but I've seen their tweets get taken down. I've seen them demonetized. I've seen them do it on other platforms, not just Twitter. So Twitter, they go on there and they're very sparing. Some of, Eric isn't it. Iraq veteran isn't. Since he's became a GOA dude, he's been way more aggressive and way more. No, I can't even say that. He's always been pretty aggressive with what he says. That's why I like him. But I like that down home real relatability with personalities. And this opens up conversations that can happen again. So what we can do now is exchange information, talk, and it's now up to an adult, yourself, to make the determination if this is real or not. That, to me, is truly the American ideal and what we need. This is a cultural win for America, for the world, and for the 2A. Because now, maybe Brandon Herrera gets away with putting some of those more risque clips up. Not so much that he's doing anything wrong. We all know that in the 2A community. Eric doesn't either, but Brandon doesn't do anything illegal. He does stuff like comic booky type stuff. It's funny, and that's what's cool. That's part of the 2A community. And it helps build our community even more and builds our culture more. Well, maybe we can have more open, honest people that come engage with us, and maybe we can start having some real conversations about, hey, I know you don't like the bang switch. I know you don't like the giggle switch. But let's talk, because you're being irrational, and let's talk about why. My rights aren't up for discussion. I don't want to come off as adversarial at the same time, but definitely some hard and fast rules saying these have always been enshrined in our Constitution, and this is part of who we are. And those conversations have been silenced in a lot of places like YouTube. That's why Rumble is where I put my show, and when I put my podcast up in the video format, where I post it. I'm very committed to that idea of trying to get as much free space or freedom back and help make that culture and economy work. For too long, we've sat here and said, hey, we need to debate. Well, like I just said, my rights aren't up for debate. Those conversations we can have, though, are, hey, I've said it before. There's a 2% maybe of the 2A community I've ran into that probably shouldn't own a firearm. At least not without some stipulations. And I'm talking about the really hard drug user type people that, and when I say hard, I mean like hard methamphetamines, that type of stuff. Or they are career criminals that are multiple offenders and they're using these weapons to commit crimes. Okay? I'm a firm believer that the only one that really follows the law are people like me who really want society to exist in some form. Okay? Criminals don't care. They're not altruistic in any way. They're looking for them out for themselves. And my dad always said to try to be a sheepdog. And I'm not in the greatest of shape, but I try to be the best sheepdog I can be for what I am. And I keep improving. So, we should all cheers a little bit and relax, take a win. It looks like we're taking the center back of the board and we're about to start making inroads. As far as New Mexico issues are going, whether you like Ron Keddy or not, I really don't care as long as it's not Grisham. And right now, Grisham is down by 1 point by one of the most accurate polls in New Mexico. KOET, they're flighty, they're cagey, whatever, but they usually predict local elections fairly well. And the Albuquerque Journal also does. And they're all wanting something. The poll first showed at KOAT that Ron Keddy is ahead by 1 point. It shows that the Albuquerque Journal endorsed Ron Keddy and had a long narrative of why. Whether you like him, you don't like him, I understand. He does seem a little bit not as freedom-loving as I would hope. And Bedonie kind of lost my vote when she went off and said, I'm not asking you anymore. You don't tell a libertarian audience, I'm not asking you anymore. You're now saying this is now a compliance thing, and that is the worst thing you could say to a libertarian, independent person like myself. So I would crawl over broken glass to vote against Grisham. I hate her more, I despise her more than any other candidate politician on planet Earth. I know this is my personal bias. She's done a lot of disservice to myself and to my family, let's just put it that way, just because of what she's put out. So with that, let's cheers again. Rumble, share, subscribe, be great. And if you're not on Twitter, it's about to get lit and more interesting. And it may turn orange is what I'm hearing.